That's really fascinating. It was like the landlord that pushed you toward the dessert from a concept. What were the early days of that in terms of iterating and finding the products that you wanted to sell? And when did it crystallize to you the broader concept, like the Dirty Cookie brand? And like, when did it really happen for you that like, oh, this is the business I want to build?
That took a while. It took like a few years because I think in the beginning I was very naive. I had no idea what I was doing. I just thought it was just going to be like this milk and cookie shop. Had no bigger vision than that, than turning it into that. But like the early days were really tough because I couldn't quit my full-time job at Boeing for about a year and a half while I was running the storefront, while I was being a mom and I had a 5-month baby. So I had 3 full-time jobs and I was absolutely miserable. And it took me about a year and a half to realize I didn't start a business for it for me to feel like this. My whole
Mm.
thing behind starting a business was to achieve freedom, and freedom plays a big part of my life. And I was like, I felt like a slave to all 3 of them. So I one of my really good advisors told me, if you're not gonna like gamble on yourself and take a bet on yourself, who will? And when I was asking him if I should quit my job at Boeing, I was like, if I quit my job at Boeing, I won't have money. We're still not profitable. It's still really tough. So when he said that to me, I was like, you know what? Fine. I immediately quit and went all in. I ended up like having to sell my house to keep funding the business. I did get myself in a ton of credit card debt in the beginning just to keep going. But I'm really glad I did because I learned a lot and it eventually all got paid off and it was great. I think one of the best things I did really early on, and I'm still super proud of it till today, is investing in a branding company because that really set the course and tone and direction of my brand. They were able to take whatever was in my head and put it on paper and make us like a really fun name, not a name, I had the name, but like the brand, the logo. I love my logo. I've had that logo for 9 years. I really do think branding and marketing and the voice is super important in the story, and it was a big investment. I remember it was like
Yeah.
$60,000 for me at the time 9 years ago to invest in that, and I'm like, "I don't have $16,000," and I had the guy, he was really amazing in LA. He just financed it over a year for me because he just help entrepreneurs. He's, "Let me help you out." So he financed it for me, so, very grateful for that.
Yeah, that's very cool. I think that's a great give everyone a preview of the framework of what we hope to talk about. So we're going to talk about uh, Shahira's experience growing Dirty Cookie, different sales channels, and how she's done that and where the business is now. She appeared on Shark Tank. So we'll talk about that story as a part of it. And then you are now at an interesting point in your career and business. It strikes me as a little bit of giving back, working on a book, coaching other entrepreneurs, which is how we got introduced through Eric at Mama's Meals, who I hope everyone listen to that talk, helping him with his business. So that'll be the structure, and would love to dig into where you are now and what you've learned along the way and what you're hoping to write in your book at the end of the talk. But let's
Yeah.
start with the growing dirty cookie part, because how did you get from financing your brand up to now the end state, which is what we were just talking about, opening retail stores abroad in Egypt right now and shipping all over the place? So what came after you buy this brand? What happened next?
Yeah, we did the brick and mortar model in Orange County for 3 years. It was a terrible location, that's why it was the last location in the mall. But I didn't know any better. So it was like people would try to find us and they couldn't find us. They'd go to the mall and they'd call the store, "We can't find you." So it was a really bad location. So I had plans on closing it and moving to a new location in LA. Then what happened was, when I decided to close it, I had a friend take it over. It was gonna move to LA, found a place there. Then COVID hit a few months later. So luckily I didn't sign a new lease or anything. And then I ended up going online and I had never really played online or e-commerce. We had just gotten our website really figured out a little bit. We actually during COVID, I ended up letting my entire team go because we were doing a ton of catering and we had just started wholesaling to some hotels like Cosmopolitan in Vegas and a bunch of different ones, Four Seasons. So when COVID hit, I laid off my entire team and I was like devastated for a week. I laid in bed for a week and then I was like, no, we didn't come this far to just end like this. Get up and do something about it. And I think what's gotten me this far is my faith, like faith in myself and faith in a higher power. that we're on this journey for a reason and we're being guided. So when one door like closes, it's really something amazing is going to happen on the other side somewhere else. So it just forced me to think, and I'm also a big meditator, so I meditate a lot and I get like clarity in my meditation. During my meditation during COVID, I saw this little girl decorating cookie shot and I jumped out of my meditation and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to go to Walmart, get these sprinkles and chocolates, and I'm going to do a DIY kit. And it was literally the week after we shut down. And I took a picture with my iPhone, put it on the website, called my friend Maria, who ran Facebook ads. I was like, Maria, run some ads around this Easter DIY kit, see if it's going to work. For 2 days later, she
Mhm.
calls back. She's like, you sold 400 boxes. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't have staff. I don't have product. So I got into the kitchen with my partner, Nadia, and we just started making them ourselves because I wasn't sure if people would, if this was going to fade out or what was happening during COVID. So I didn't want to bring my staff back when I was unsure. Fast forward 2020, we ended up tripling the size of our team. We ended up going on I reached out to, like, Good Morning America and the Today Show and told them, like, what we were going through. They both brought us on TV and helped explode the brand during COVID, which was amazing. And, yeah, we ended up tripling the size of the team, and we've been e-commerce for the last few years just because we got pushed into that direction, and sometimes I tell you, like, on this journey, you're always pushed into a certain direction. Sometimes, like, you don't plan for it. Like, it's really difficult to plan. And so after we went online, another challenge happened. You guys are familiar with the iOS update 2021, where advertising costs, like for us, it quadrupled at least. It became very difficult to be profitable online. We were profitable in 2020, and then 2021, we weren't profitable. I'm like, oh my gosh. But I was in denial. And I think I made a huge mistake of being in denial and depending on one revenue stream for 2 years after COVID. I just kept, like, no, figure it out. I should have looked at other revenue streams to help the situation. But I like would hire more people and just like everybody get on this and figure it out because it was working so well for us. There was one day like we
Mhm.
were spending like $30,000 a day and it was there, it was amazing. So when that
Yeah.
did, yeah.
Really quick, I'd love to go back too, but I think this ad stuff, first of all, there's always something thrown at you. Feels it's always a new challenge. I'd love to talk about this ad stuff and how you responded because that was a huge challenge for everyone. But you got this idea meditating about the cookie shot, which it sounds like that product is what really went viral
The
online
DIY part of
and took the
yeah,
company, the DIY part of it.
yeah,
So you had the cookie shot previously in
yes.
store and in person.
Yeah, I started with only the cookie shop. That was
Got
the
it.
only idea. Like, I wanted to innovate, like, the milk and cookie space, and, so I made these molds,
Yeah.
and I made the cookie shots, and we were literally a cookie shop store, a cookie shop store. That was it.
Yeah. That's super cool. So then it was the DIY thing, which probably blended really well with COVID, right? Of like, you're going to get this and you got to do something at home. Here's a DIY kit. Okay. So all of that makes sense. So you start sending those out and you're hit with this then Facebook ads
The
challenge. So
following
yeah, I'm
year.
curious. You were right. So then, you know, you're in denial. You're throwing people at the problem. Yeah. Then how did you do? What happened next?
After 2 years of really suffering, like, I really suffered online, and because I didn't pivot quickly enough, I think I owed people, like, $500,000 by the end of 2022, and I was, like, really
Wow.
devastated about my decision of not pivoting quickly enough and just being in denial. Sometimes we do that where we're like, I don't know. But and then I needed to fundraise, or I didn't know how to pay off this money. I was like, what am I going to do? I need to fundraise. So I started doing that for 4 months straight. I would like pitch and pitch. And it was like the worst experience of my life. I was getting left and right no's. Hey, why don't you tech or incorporate some tech element? I'm like, I'm a cookie company. Like, it was really even all like the women funds, they tell you like, yeah, if you're a woman, we'll fund you. It was really difficult. It started messing with like my self-esteem and my product. I have thousands of reviews that tell me I have an amazing product, but what so a part of me was like, "Wait, nothing in my life ever works like the traditional way." Like, I know that about me, like everything happens for me. I'm an amazing manifester. That's something also I like coach people on is like managing your thoughts, your mindset, and how to create have things come right to you. I've manifested every little thing in my life, including the business. Like when I said, when I was
Mhm.
pregnant, I'm starting a business this year, it just happened and everything just fell into place. Things were just coming up. And like my best friend, I didn't have money. She gave me 50 grand to start. Like things would just show up for me. So I did that. I journaled and I was like, I don't want to do this pitching thing. I want the money to come right to me. And the financial pressure got really intense, and there was one day I remember I collapsed in my bedroom on the floor where I was just like, "God, I can't do this anymore, like, I'm done." I was like, "You for some reason, you think I can handle this, but I just can't. I'm telling you right now, I cannot handle this." And I'm bawling on the floor, and 10 days later, from that day, I collapsed in my bedroom. I get a text I'm reading this text message that says, "Money's been wired to your account." I jump up. There was, like, $1.5 million dollars in my account. And the story behind that is a guy called me 10 days after, like, I fell to the floor in my bedroom, and I remember the names, like, Harold Investor. I'm like, "Who the hell's Harold Investor?" in my phone book. I don't have any investors. And so I pick up and I'm like, "Hey," and he's like, "Hey, Shahira, do you remember me? We met 5 years ago on a golf course in Mission Viejo. I loved your product, and I told you I wanted to invest back then, but you said you were too early on and you didn't want the money. So I've just been watching you on LinkedIn and seeing all the amazing things you're doing. Are you in need of any funding?" I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" I was like, "Yes." And he was like, "How much are you raising?" I told him, I was like, "Yes, I'm actually fundraising right now." And he's like, "How much are you raising?" I'm like, $3 million. And he's like, "All right, I'll wire you 1.5 tomorrow and the rest when you need it." Literally, like
Wow.
I don't know how to even explain that to people, how something like that happened. He never asked for my books till today. Never once. He's been my biggest cheerleader and supporter for the last few years. So I ended up raising $3 million for 20% equity in the company.
Yeah,
And that's
that's
what
great.
that really helped us get to the next level because we then ended up getting through. And it's always a challenge on this journey, guys. It will always be the next thing. So for me, it ended up being manufacturing challenges
Yeah,
from co-packer to co-packer. So that was the next challenge after that. I got the money and then I
yeah,
lost my manufacturing facility and then I moved to a co-packer who screwed me over big time
yeah.
and moved to another co-packer in Phoenix. He went bankrupt within 3 months of us moving in there, and I
Wow.
had to absorb a $100,000 kitchen. It's been a journey.
Yeah,
$1,000
yeah.
kitchen in a
It's
month.
amazing too on the investor Kai. I was talking with a friend the other day. It's amazing how little things from like little one-off meetings or little people you meet end up having some big role in your life at some point. And it's so hard to predict what that is. It's amazing, like meeting some person on a golf course years
Yeah.
ago comes back. My conclusion on it was there's a way higher ROI of meeting new people and building connections that we even ascribe credit to. It's like good things come from
The
growing your network
biggest
and
and I know this could be at the end, but the biggest piece of advice I could give anyone is build your network, build your network. Reach out to people and don't be afraid to ask. I reached out to the CEO, former CEO of Mrs. Fields Cookies, and now he's on my advisory board just because on LinkedIn. I like stalk people and I'm like, I don't care who you are. If I want you, you're going to come and you're going to help me because I've been able through this journey to build like an amazing network of human beings. I'm like, wow. Um, because I just ask and I'm not shy. I used to be really shy, but I'm like, nope, I'm going on there. I'm like, hey, we need to talk. Hey.
yeah, yeah.
So
That's great advice. That's so true. I'm also curious. So you overcame this financial challenge, but this didn't solve the Facebook challenge of, okay, iOS has banned, for everyone who remembers, like banned the tracking in Safari and it made tracking advertising way harder. So return on ad spend dropped for everyone. You solved this financial piece. How'd you figure out the product and go to
well,
market piece of the
I
business?
I decided that it needs to be we can't be dependent on one revenue stream. So I pivoted into two different markets, the corporate gifting market, which was amazing for us. I work with Google, Netflix, a bunch of tech companies, and I sell to them like my cookies branded with their logo for their employees, their clients all over the country. So that was the first like 2 quarters. And then I was like, yeah, this is great, but it's still not enough. And I want to get more business. What else can we get into as another revenue stream? And it was for me B2B, food service. I wish I would have known about B2B and food service a long time ago and that there's different trade shows that were focused on that because I have one coming up in 2 weeks in Chicago. That's the show that really launched our brand, the National Restaurants Association in Chicago.
Mm. Oh yeah. I might be there, and my wife works for Square, and she's going, so I'd be
Oh,
happy to
amazing.
tag along.
I will be
Yeah,
there.
it's in a few
Well,
weeks.
yeah, so that
Oh, that's why you're going to Chicago. Okay, makes
that
sense.
show really, that was in May last year. So when we launched at that show, it was phenomenal. We got picked up by, like, Disneyland and SeaWorld and airports and stadiums and, just a bunch of different brands, coffee shops, and we exploded in Q4 in the B2B. So I've stopped investing this year in e-commerce, like paid ads and stuff, and I'm really focusing where there's volume. Like
Hmm.
Disney just placed another order for 30,000 stuffed cookies, and I just signed a deal with a big vending machine company that's gonna be taking 60,000 cookies a month, stuffed cookies.
Wow.
Yeah, and now I'm like, I have to move manufacturing again because
Yeah.
I found a really good co-packer in, Long Island and New Jersey. They have 2 facilities. That's why I'm here right now, and we're moving all our stuff in the next 2 weeks there. But they are like
Yeah,
big.
I'd love to go deep on it because we have a question too. Do you still use that co-packer? I'd love to circle back on that conversation and
Sure.
hear what you're doing on production. But before we get to that, I think we also have a question like, what is B2B? So as a starting point, explain a bit more about this. I think both the gifting motion and the wholesale. Like what exactly are you selling and to who?
For sure. Okay, I see the questions now. I didn't,
Yeah.
see those earlier. So I'll go back to the co-packer. When he went bankrupt, he's in Phoenix, Arizona. I took the facility. I hired staff. So I didn't own it. I was just leasing it from him. But again, it was costing me $100,000 a month and I could not afford it. So I made the decision to shut it down and move to this co-packer in New Jersey, Long Island in the next couple weeks. B2B is business to
Mm.
business. So, for example, I'm selling from Dirty Cookie to Disneyland. That's considered B2B. It's business to business instead of direct to consumer online, where it's like B2C, business to consumer, me to the end client. So, so basically, and the other question, how did you find the vending machine company? At the NRA show, they found us at the show. And yes, I can definitely help with getting into vending machines. I think that could be something.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I think my main thought on you talking about these different channels is we were talking at the beginning of the call for everyone who's doing meal prep and delivery on the call. There's amazing going to market and selling straight to offices
Yeah.
and providing individualized meals for the workers in that office. What are the wholesale opportunities to sell through retail, to sell your meals on a shelf in a retail store? Is there a gifting program around people like the Mama's Meal business model where there's a new birth and there's postnatal meal gifting and meal trains and stuff? So there's so much creativity you can have in how you actually sell your products in a way that's not just direct to consumer, which is really an all out dogfight online and on Instagram and stuff to get customers and keep them. And I think that's one of the most interesting things Shahira has done with Dirty Cookie is really figure that out. So yeah, so you went to a trade show. That's how you found a vending machine company.
Yeah, I went to a few trade shows. When I became intentional, I'm like, I need to find all the B2B food service trade shows in the country. I Googled it, I got the list, and I started figuring out which ones are the good ones and are worth the investment. I asked around, I asked people in different space, like advisors. I'm like, hey, they're like, yeah, NRA is amazing. Yes, definitely. But you got to be prepared for these shows because they're expensive and they take a lot of work. So there's a lot that goes into doing a trade show like that. I think in business, you definitely can't depend on one revenue channel. You need to have, I feel like you need to have multiple. Like that's what's worked for me. And if you have one that is really successful, you can put all your like 80/20, 80% of like right now, I'm putting 80% in my B2B food service business and 20% in just corporate and e commerce because I want the volume. For me, it's a volumes game.
Right. And so, and for you, you're producing, you're taking orders from Disney and out West, and you're producing them all in one place though and shipping them. You don't have different co-packers or, yeah.
No, it's, right now we're just we hire our own trucks, freight, trucks to ship pallets to Disney. We have to ship them frozen. So those are not cheap either, pretty expensive, but we're working through the logistics right now. And to get corporate accounts, I see someone's asking about how do you get corporate accounts. I'm an amazing stalker. So I love stalking people on LinkedIn. So HR managers, event managers, salespeople, business development people, titles on LinkedIn, and you find them, you figure out what company you want. I use LinkedIn a lot. It's been the best tool for me personally. And I get their so I'll send them a message on LinkedIn. If they don't respond, I will go there's programs you can invest in for $350 a month where you can pull emails and leads and they're really accurate. So I've invested in that a couple times where I can just get anybody's email and phone number. And that's what I do. If they don't answer me on LinkedIn, I'm going to get their email and phone number from that platform.
Yep. Yep. And then you just reach out and say, hey, this is what I'm doing. Do you guys do gifting? Do you do stuff for your
Exactly.
employees?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, what's helped me a lot sell my product is putting images in the first cold email. When they
Mm,
see like my cookie shot because it's so different, they're like, "What is that?" In the subject line, I put dirty cookie, like, "Oh." So you have to have something to pull them in. I've become really good at cold email strategy. It's crazy, like, we got into a bunch of 4 baseball stadiums, and this company that runs them called Delaware North, I literally just pulled all their emails. I ran them through this 6 email cold sequence and I probably made the email list cost me like 150 bucks and I made $25,000 from their order just from
wow.
emails. Like that was it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
But it takes time to collect the emails and to figure out who, as long as you figure out who you're going after, that's going to be the client for you and you get their emails,
Right.
set up a cold email strategy and then calls. And that's how I've been able to like really build the corporate and the B2B business.
Right. Yeah. And I think for people listening too, part of our story at Bottle is Andy ran South Fork, which the main go to market strategy was selling through offices or getting office workers. And so if you ever want to chat or hear more of him talk about that, which I think is a relevant kind of B2B strategy for meal prep, please email in and we'll probably do a conversation based off of what Shahira is saying here with Andy's perspective. We could go deep on, you could probably help people. I know we've got questions on what are good subject lines, and I'm sure we could go deep
Oh,
there.
yeah, I just saw that.
Uh, yeah, let's veer back a little bit and go to keep moving forward. So you're doing all of this gifting and B2B stuff. I'm curious to jump fully ahead. Like, where are you today in the business? When we were chatting, you're opening up stores internationally. What do you see as the future of Dirty Cookie and where you take things?
Yeah, for sure. So I've always wanted to build a global brand. I didn't want to just keep Dirty Cookie in just the US. Like we have a ton of interest from Canada, and I haven't been able to open that door yet because I don't have the right people or infrastructure in place to start supporting Canada. The next where I'm at right now is I'm looking for a strategic partner to come in and be my operator in the US and really someone with a lot of F&B experience. I'm talking to a bunch of really big brands this week. I have meetings set up every day with 1-800 Flowers. I have meetings, people who know like how to operate and really scale into billion-dollar brands. So I'm talking to a bunch of them for the next 2 weeks because I need someone like them to come in and just really take it to the next level and operate it. Like I'm a visionary and it's been almost 10 years of running Dirty Cookie. And I feel like I've done the hard part. I built the brand, I built the name, I built the story, I built the foundation. I think the first 10 years are the hardest 10 years in entrepreneurship. But if you get to that level, I recognize that it's time to bring in the big boys to play and really just take it and plug and play and operate it in their ecosystem. They already have the ecosystem. They already have the stores,
Mhm.
distribution, they have the e-commerce. They can just it's a plug and play model for them. So I'm bringing on a partner, a really big partner this year to handle the US operations, and that will free me up a lot to go do what I'm really passionate about, which is I love consulting. I love doing like working with startups for the first like My sweet spot is like the first 7 years. I love the first 7 years of business and trying to figure things out and really getting there. So I want to really be able to grow my consulting part, and I want to go focus on franchising in the Middle East. We have a lot of opportunity with Saudi Arabia and Dubai that I still want to work on. And then I personally want, it's been a really amazing, but also very challenging journey. And I want to get all my lessons learned and put them in a book for people so they can read them. And also, this business didn't just give me amazing experience. I say it's the most expensive MBA I've ever paid for in my life. And I also say if it wasn't for this business, I would have never gone on a very deep personal healing journey 6 years ago, which has completely transformed my life. And that's where I was able to manage my thoughts and really be a creator in this world instead of letting things happen to me. I'm like, no, I am finding the most amazing partner for my company in the next 30 days. And that's going to happen because I said so. I'm creating that right now in this moment. So just
Mm.
being like that and being intentional about things like that, it just shows up, it just happens for you. So yeah, I want to focus on growing the Middle East. I want to focus on consulting. I want to focus on writing my book and just I love speaking. I just spoke at MIT a week ago, and that was amazing experience. So I just want to do more of that.
Yeah. I would love to, from here, answer some of these more specific questions. And I'd really love to dig into this, like things you've learned as the entrepreneur and the healing journey you've been on and like stuff that you would impart as advice next. But just to clear people's curiosity here, do you have any other thoughts on getting in front of people apart from just LinkedIn? You've mentioned conferences, stalking people on LinkedIn. Are there any other ideas in terms of getting in front of potential business clients or gifting market or things like that?
Yeah. So if someone's asking about direct to consumer, B2C, but or something like influencers, I built the brand on the back of influencers in the early days, also through stalking them, but I wouldn't go directly to them. I would go to their best friends and their close friends who aren't really as popular as them. So I was able to get like the Kardashians a few times, multiple times through that strategy to help my direct to consumer business. I was able to get like in front of Chrissy Teigen's manager and talk about a brand partnership with Chrissy Teigen back in the day because of that strategy of trying to find. As soon as you identify who you need to go after, there's so many ways of finding that person or so that was like a big thing I did. But what was the question? It was like the different ways
Yeah. Do
for
you have any other kind of, if you were just thinking through, man, I've got to get in front of businesses to try to sell, there's conferences, there's the email, there's what you're jokingly calling the stalking,
yes.
which I think are all true. But all right, is there anything else that comes to my cold email? Yeah.
Honestly, picking up the phone I struggled a lot to be doing cold calls. That was a big struggle for me. I hated the word no and I hated rejection. So picking like when you like I said, you identify who you need to go after and you find every single way possible of trying to reach that person. You try LinkedIn, you try email, you try calling, you try finding some common person or someone in the network that knows them that could help connect you and ask for it. Cold calling really did help me a lot when I got over myself because I had to have a breakthrough within myself to be able to pick up the phone and call a few years ago. Now I have two salespeople, which they're really good at cold calling, and I just make them do it every single day for the
Nice. Yeah. A lot of the advice just comes down to figure out who to talk to and talk to them and just get in touch, figure out how to get in touch.
and there's tools you can get
Um,
email nowadays. Honestly, you can get anyone's email for the most part.
Yeah, we'll try to link to some of those tools too in when we post the transcript. The B2C question, and curious your thoughts on this because you did B2C obviously and figured out how to price your product, which in food is really hard. So the question from Danny was, how did you think about that direct to consumer price discovery? What was the price that worked in terms of conversion and that made the business work in terms of cost? And
So
how
the
did you
fir-
figure that out?
so the first thing I did, I benchmarked all my competitors. I'm like, every gourmet cookie company, like my top 10, what are they selling at? What are they selling half a dozen for? What are they selling per cookie for? So I put the lowest one and the highest one on the market. And then I looked at my cost of ingredients. I looked at my cost of labor And I calculated that. And then I was like, okay, if I go at the lowest price point where my competitor is, my margin's only this. If I go to, I don't want to be the highest either. So I wanted to always keep like at least 30 to 40% margins. So I would see where that takes me between that spectrum of my competitors. Because I didn't want to be the cheap one. I know I'm premium. So I wanted to be closer to the expensive one, but not, I don't want to be the most expensive one. So people don't say that about me. Instead
Interesting.
of like right now, Last Crumb is one of my competitors, for example. They sell a dozen for $120. I sell a dozen for how much do I sell a dozen for now? Like $54, something like that. But
Wow.
that's their strategy is like, yeah, we're the most premium cookie company because we've invested in this giant box and branding. So it's a gift box that you can keep. I knew I didn't want to be that for sure. I didn't want to be $120 for 12 cookies.
Yeah.
So
$10 a cookie feels criminal.
yeah,
Feels
yeah.
wild.
So I tried to stay within 450, 450 price for the consumer.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of it, I and Eric talks a lot about this, the help you'd given him around protecting the margin. But other than that, a lot of it is, or it seems to be, just feel. It's an art and a science. The science is you have to protect your margin, and the art is perception in the marketplace
For
and making
sure.
sure you can beat expectations.
If you can really hone in on value and really figure out a way to storytell, everything is storytelling. Everything. If you can storytell around the value that your brand is giving them and people will pay. One of my, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Seth Godin. He's like a marketing guru. And for any women out here, apply to the Tory Burch Foundation. It's a good, amazing program that's changed my life. Tory Burch does it every year. She picks 50 women entrepreneurs to like mentor and coach and give them resources. Phenomenal program. So just get on their newsletter. So I met Seth Godin, the Tory Burch Foundation. I was one of the 50 entrepreneurs that went back in 2019. And he told me something. He said, if you figure out how to elevate people's status with your brand, you can charge whatever you want and you'll be very successful. And he said, all people really care about is elevating their status. And I didn't get that. But then when he used this example, he's like, when you get in an Uber, Uber has subconsciously elevated your status. You're getting in the back, someone else is driving you. Your status has been elevated. And you figure out that in your branding and your marketing and your communication, how to really elevate people's status, you will be very successful. So that's been in the back of my mind since 2019. And I look at that in everything I do in my communication. So love Seth Godin too. Big fan.
What's something you've done to do that, elevate the status of a customer?
I invested again after what, 6 or 7 years in branding. And
Uh-huh.
so remember when I told you when I first started, it was 16,000.
Yeah.
6 years later, I invested again and it was 50,000.
Wow.
Yeah. And that was with the intention of elevating our status, of elevating our brand. And it did. It like our packaging, our branding, everything, like I'm in love with it. Was it worth $50,000? I don't know. But it was like,
Yeah.
I'm glad I did it. That's all.
Yeah.
Lot.
Yeah, I
Uh,
feel like particularly in the gifting space, it matters a lot, right? The gifter wants to make it be a
correct.
good gift, and it doesn't feel cheap.
Yeah.
So
If you
that makes sense.
if you guys aren't using, like, you have to use Chat GPT for subject lines. That helps a lot. Or email. I'm trying to figure out a way to take some time off to just go deep into AI and learn more about it because I feel like if we're not using AI right now to really help us with our businesses. For example, I told you I'm looking for a partner to take over Dirty Cookie in the US, license it and really just take it to the next level. I ran that through chat. I was like, give me a list of every strategic partner possible in the United States. And guess what? I got all their emails. I have a virtual assistant. So she got all their emails from the program Ample Market, which I use. And then we're running it through a cold email sequence today or tomorrow. I'll run it through, hey, have an amazing opportunity for you guys. And that's how I'm doing. So I'm basically using my sales strategy into my same strategy of finding a partner to really take Dirty Cookie to the next level.
Super cool.
Someone's asking about like manifestation skills. Oh, that is a daily practice to strengthen your manifestation. So, like, meditation is key to really strengthening manifestation skills, I believe. I used to have ADD and I was diagnosed with ADD and I couldn't sit still for 2 minutes. And also an advisor of mine told me, she was a mentor. She had 4 businesses, 2 kids, happily married. And I'm like, "Why are you so happy all the time? How do you do it? I'm so miserable." This was the early days. And she was like, "Meditation.
Yeah.
Meditate every single day." So I tried it and I didn't like it the first week, but I just stuck with it because I trusted her so much. I did it for a month and everybody around me was telling me something's different about me. And I didn't notice
Mm.
it. My employees noticed it. My husband at the time noticed it. So meditation's like you going to the gym. Like you don't see the progress right away, but over time, a year, you're like, wow, I look amazing. It's exactly the
Mm.
same way with your minds. I've been meditating for 6 years now. And the longest I've meditated at one time was about 5 hours straight. So I went from not being able to sit still for 2 minutes to now I could do a 5 hour meditation and it feels like 10 minutes. And I believe my meditation helps me so much with my manifestation because while I'm in my meditation, I really like call into what I want to create and it just ends up happening. Classes, books. I started the manifestation books like in 2006, which was The Secret was one of the early books of learning about manifestation, but there's a couple audiobooks I listened to before. I'll put them in the chat once I figure it out.
Yeah, sounds good. And we can also follow up in an email with recommendations there as well that you send out. So I think this is a great opportunity to just talk about the personal side of stuff and this book you're writing and what you want to teach other entrepreneurs as you think about speaking and sharing everything you've learned. Like, what are things that you would love to teach other entrepreneurs?
So we all have self-limiting beliefs. And I think these self-limiting beliefs, well, I know they come from a lot of childhood trauma. And if we don't work on that, you continue running these negative self-talk. So I had to get to the root of like my trauma to figure out like why I was uncomfortable asking for money, why was I uncomfortable with rejection, why was there was a lot of things in my business that were showing up for me and it all stemmed from my childhood. So my whole life my father lost his first son in an accident. He was shot and I came after that, and my dad, all he ever wanted was to replace my brother who passed away. Um, and he wanted a boy more than anything in the world. And he was extremely disappointed when he got me. And then he ended up getting 4 more girls. So he got like super angry with the birth of every daughter. So it was really tough for us growing up because he didn't he made us feel like we were not good enough. So I struggled a lot with like
Mm,
esteem issues. I struggled a lot with confidence issues because if my own father I felt like didn't love me or want me, like how could I show up in the world as like this powerful woman? It was challenging. So I spent about 6 years really like healing from all that and telling myself I am enough. I can be this successful. I can do all of this. I don't need to prove anything to anyone because I was always on this mission to have to prove to my father that I'll be successful no matter what at any cost. And that drove a lot of my bad decisions.
yeah.
Yeah.
So how'd you start to work through that? Like, when did you realize this was self-limiting and how did you make it
Well,
so that it wasn't limiting anymore?
someone told me about this class named like Landmark. That was the beginning. It's called Landmark. Someone told me about this class called Landmark. It's a 3-day program, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and they 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. And they really help you see your blind spots. And they do it all over the US. And it was a really powerful class for me. It made me feel like, whoa, I've been looking at myself. I've been blind. And started understanding like how people were seeing me and viewing me. And like it really helped me with my communication. And then from there, I learned about like more healing mechanisms like breath work, like shamanic breath work is something that I am a huge fan of. I do once a quarter for an hour and that literally releases trauma from the body. Like you have trauma trapped in your body from whatever happened to you in a younger age, and breathwork will physically release it from your body. So I this breathwork session for an hour, and I'm like bawling, crying, and I'll have memories of something that happened to me as a kid, and it's just being released out of my body. It was so powerful. So I am a big fan of breathwork. And they do that with ceremonies and guides and stuff. If you type shamanic breathwork guide, you can find them all over the country. And then from there, I met more people who did other kinds of work. So I started, tell me what you guys have done to heal. So I just went on this like never ending. And one of my favorite one is Dr. Joe Dispenza. He's a big meditator. He does a meditation retreat all over the country. I made a commitment to go at least once a year. I did twice last year, and those were just like super healing, super powerful. Yeah.
Is this one of those no talk, like days on end sort of retreats, or
No,
what are
no,
these
it's
like?
not a
No.
silent retreat. No, he does,
Okay, yeah, silent retreat.
he incorporates breath work into the meditation. And while you're in the meditation, you really start feeling like your energy move. Like I felt it. And you can create so much. Like he'll have you like think about abundance. And we're all gonna 2,000 people are meditating on abundance. And I believe like we're all energy. So when we're all 2,000 people are thinking of abundance, it just shows up in our lives. There's so much that
Mhm.
I've learned and I've created just from being at those retreats. They're super life changing. But yeah, I can
Very
get
cool. So what? Yeah, I know you're working on the outline of your book, so I'm curious how you're thinking about that. What's in the outline so far?
the outline is gonna start with the impact of not healing from trauma and how that leads to it runs our behavior in our lives. You don't even notice it, but the way you're behaving in a certain way, it has something to do with something that happened to you in the past. And most of the time it's like a negative thing. It's not a great thing. And then there's a bit about like my father's story and like how I had to overcome that and a lot of faith in yourself. Faith has been the biggest driver for me through this business through these last 10 years. Faith in myself, faith in a higher power that we're being guided and I have a purpose and I'm doing this for a reason. So even if it doesn't work out, I'm like, I surrender and I'm like, someone is taking care of me in this world. And if this isn't working out, then I'm meant to do something else or I'm meant to go in another direction. I'm okay with it. So I've learned to surrender. I used to be like a control freak and I couldn't surrender. And I've surrendered to whatever comes and to really let people believe that they are creators. We're all creators. We have the power to create any kind of life we live. I think the issue is people don't believe that they are creators and people don't, again, the self limiting beliefs and talks. And once you get past all of that, you can have this vision for yourself and just it will happen exactly the way you want it to. I've created this amazing life where I live between Egypt and the US and I love it because I don't want to stay in one place for one time. I didn't think that was possible, but I've been doing it for 3 years now. So there's
Very
a
cool.
whole lot.
Yeah, yeah. That's what has been most rewarding for you in building Dirty Cookie so far.
The network and the people I've met along the journey have probably been I can't tell you how valuable like and amazing my network is. And I'm just like, I'm so blessed. EO is a big one, Entrepreneurs Organization. That organization has changed my life in every way possible, personal and business. And it's a group of, it's like AA for entrepreneurs. We cry to each other. We talk about our challenges. And there's like an accelerator program in EO for companies that are making less than $1 million in revenue. And that is, I started an accelerator and it was so much learning. You take time to actually work on your business, not in your business. So EOS changed my life a lot as well. Yeah.
I've heard that from several people. Huge endorsers of EO for people listening in who want comrades on this journey. Who has inspired you? You talk a lot about mentors and people helping you. Like who is inspirational to you?
So when I was really unhealed, and I used to look up to Steve Jobs and Elon Musk, and I thought this was the ideal entrepreneur. And then over the last 6 years, it's shifted a lot because my purpose now has shifted to like wanting to help people and help people here. So for me, it was like now it's like Dr. Joe Dispenza for me. Like he heals 2,000 people in 1 week in front of me. Like I see it happen and I'm like, I want to be like this guy because my beliefs and my purpose have shifted over the last 10 years. But I love having advisors. I don't make any decision like my call tomorrow, for example, with 1-800-Flowers. I have my advisor, the previous CEO of Mrs. Fields Cookies, on the call with me because he's had 30 years of experience. I'm not getting on the call alone. Like I don't do that anymore. Back in the day, I used to try to do everything on my own. People would take advantage of me and because I didn't have experience and I lost a lot of money that way. I bring on like my mentors or advisors to get on the call with me and tell them, here's the intention. This is what I want. Help me lead the conversation. So they'll step in and it's been amazing. So
Hmm.
just surrounding
That's
yourself
awesome.
with a lot like people who've done it before. I think that's the biggest thing. So go to people who've done it before. They can crack the code so easily because they have that. They've made the mistakes. They know who to talk to now.
Anything you haven't said, it's like a parting advice, everyone listening in.
Being an entrepreneur, everybody knows it requires a little bit of crazy in us to live this life because it is really challenging. But I think it's also like the most rewarding thing I've ever done. And the freedom that I've been able to build for me and my family through it, even with the challenges, I have flexibility. I work anywhere in the world. I'm virtual. I don't need to be anywhere. That to me is super important. I think ask for help, reach out to people. Don't be shy. The more you get no's, the closer you are to a yes. So I've been on a
Mm,
mission to collect no's every day. I'm like collecting 5 no's a day. So I'll call anybody, hey, do you want to give me $500,000 loan? A no. And I'm like, okay, cool. Next. I'm just like
yeah,
my best friend, hey, do you want to give me a $200,000 loan? Nope. Next. So I've become so numb to the word no that it doesn't mean anything to me anymore. And that was a word that really scared me back in the day. So collect your no's because they'll get you one step closer to yes. And don't be shy and ask.
that's awesome. That's awesome advice. I think everyone, as we've seen in the Q&A, has absolutely loved this. You're on an inspirational journey and can't wait for the book and to see what you do next. Congrats on everything to date and excited for what's ahead for you and for Dirty Cookie. Thank you so much for joining. We will, for everyone who missed it or had to dip, we'll post the talk and links to some of the tools mentioned around finding emails. And we'll follow up with classes, books on the manifestation and meditation that I think could be really helpful. So thank you so much for joining us and giving us an hour of your time and helping pay it forward. So we really appreciate it.
And guys so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
All right. Bye.
See you later.